Welcome to the preliminary payable for the 2023 tax levy and general fund budget. So the proposed tax levy for the general fund specials and debt levy is $5,249,688. This is an increase of $244,000 or 4.77% over 2022. The proposed tax levy for the Big Lake Economic Development Authority is $130,000. This is the same as 2022. The total city tax levies for the city is $5,379,688, with the city tax rate at 39.97. This is a decrease of 8.77% over 2022. The preliminary levy is the maximum levy amount for the year. Council cannot raise the levy once this levy is set for the next year tax payable. However, the council can lower the levy amount prior to the final levy being set in December of 2022. So the components of the tax levy are as follows and very similar to last year. The general levy, which is $4.1 million, shows an increase of $485,449 and represents 77% of the total tax levy. This levy are the revenues needed to balance the general fund budget. The general fund budget are the expenditures associated with providing the services to the community. The property tax abatement of $12,050. This represents the taxes that are paid by a parcel, and then the city in turn pays the property owner a portion of the taxes back. Currently, this year, this represents less than 1% of the total levy. These abatements are for the Lupulum and Premier Marina projects. The debt service levy at $1.1 million is used to pay the yearly debt payment for the city and represents 21% of the total tax levy. The city cannot pay off debt or pay down debt any sooner than what is outlined in the bond documents. However, the city can use excess cash to make yearly debt payments in lieu of increasing the debt service levy. The Big Lake Economic Development Levy are the funds used for promoting economic development within the city. This levy is $130,000 and represents 2% of the total levy. So the city's tax rate for 2023 is projected to decrease by 8.77%. This is due to the substantial increase in the total net capacity for the city. The city's tax rate is what's used to calculate what each individual property will pay in city taxes. Each property has a tax capacity, and that tax capacity is multiplied by the city's tax rate to determine the portion of city property taxes paid for by that parcel. Remember, the tax rate is calculated by dividing the total levy funds needed by the total tax capacity of all parcels within the city limits. So the preliminary total property values show an increase of about 28% with a 3% increase of just new construction. With the city tax rate of 39.97% and an estimated 23% increase in the property values, residents would see an increase to the city portion only of their property taxes anywhere from $2 to $4 a month, or about $40 or $50 per year, depending on the value of the property. If the property value did not increase, then the city's portion of the property taxes would show a decrease because of the decrease in the city's tax rate. If the city's net tax capacity had not increased by that 28%, then there would be about a $3 to $8 increase per month, as the city's tax rate would increase because of the overall increase in levy funds needed. So if we look at the 2023 balanced general fund preliminary budget, it is at $6.3 million. This is a 10% increase over the 2022 adopted general fund budget. The majority of the increases in revenues are in taxes, as the preliminary levy is higher. Also, in other revenues, the preliminary indicates an increase in licenses and permits, as well as intergovernment and franchise fees. The majority of the increase in expenditures is in personnel and transfers to other funds. Personnel for the general fund is showing an overall increase of 9.78. The majority of the increase is contributed to an overall increase to the city's pay plan, as well as work comp and other insurances. Transfers to other fund is showing an increase of $127,000. This increase is contributed to the increase of $100,000 to the Park Maintenance and Improvement CIP fund, as well as an additional increase of $40,000 to the Street Maintenance CIP fund. The 2023 proposed budget also includes an increase in utility costs and inflationary costs for products and services. Reviewing the preliminary revenues, you will see 64% of all revenues needed to balance the budget are from the collection of property tax, with 7% from the $450,000 transfer from the liquor store. This transfer helps lower the overall funds needed to be raised through property taxes in order to balance the budget. It's a great reason as to why it's important to shop local, as the profits from the liquor store are poured back into the community through this transfer to the general fund and insist in paying for services provided to the community. When reviewing the preliminary general fund expenditures, you will see 63% of all expenses are allocated to personnel. This is expected considering the main objective of the city is to provide services for those in the city. 25% of the budget is for operational costs, 7% reflects the transfers to the CIP fund for future projects, and 3% is for professional services. When reviewing the preliminary expenditure by services, you will see 40% of all expenditures are allocated to public safety. This includes police, fire, and building department. One of the reasons why Big Lake is such a safe and great community. 15% is allocated to the Public Works Department, which maintains the infrastructure of the city. 13% is allocated to culture. This includes our Parks Department, library, and the Recreation and Communication Department. These services promote the quality of life we have here in Big Lake. So finally, let's recap. Our total preliminary levy is at $5.3 million with the preliminary tax rate of 39.97%. This is a decrease of 8.77 over 2022. The preliminary general fund budget is at $6.3 million. The cost to provide city services per day is 1.42 based on the estimated population of 12,165. With the proposed balanced budget, the projected ending fund balance, remember these are the funds that are used to pay for expenses of the city to provide the services, will be at 58% of the 2024 concept budget. Again, this is only if we do receive all the proposed revenues and do not have any unexpected expenses. In addition, the fund balance is the cumulative balance from year over year. Remember, the preliminary levy can be reduced but not increased prior to the final levy certification, which occurs in December. If you have any question, please feel free to contact myself. We will be having additional budget discussions to refine this budget before the Truth in Taxation meeting, which is November 28th at City Hall at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much.